Hey everyone, hope you're doing great. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll dive into what if Naruto lived in a modern world with hidden shinobi. Smash that subscribe button, and be sure to peek at the description below. Let's begin. The rain in District 4 didn't wash things clean, it just made the grime slicker. It was a chemical drizzle, glowing faint pink under the neon assault of the advertisements towering above. Naruto Uzumaki adjusted the grip on his magnetic gloves, his sneakers squeaking against the slick glass of the Hokage Corporation's headquarters. He was 40 stories up, dangling by friction and sheer audacity above the sprawling, electric nervous system of Konoha City. Beneath him, the traffic was a river of red and white light, the sound of hover cars and maglev trains reduced to a low, thrumming hum. He pulled his goggles down over his blue eyes, shielding them from the updraft. The wind whipped his orange windbreaker, a garment that was far too bright for stealth, but perfect for making a statement. "All right," Naruto whispered, his voice cracking with a mixture of adrenaline and suppressed laughter. He tapped the haptic interface on his forearm, bypassing the firewall, accessing the external display nodes. "Come on, you corporate fossil. Let me in." The Hokage Tower was the centerpiece of the city, a monolith of black steel and smart glass that loomed over every district. On its face were 4 massive digital projections, the faces of the CEOs who had led the village state since its inception. Hashirama, Tobirama, Minato, and currently, Hiruzen Sarutobi. They were looked upon as gods. To Naruto, they were just the faces of the system that kept him in the gutter. His wrist computer buzzed. Access granted? Jackpot. Naruto pulled a canister from his belt. It wasn't paint. It was a pressurized smart gel sprayer hooked into a custom coating rig. He began to run along the vertical surface of the building, defying gravity with a skill that shouldn't belong to a flunking academy student. As he ran, he sprayed. The gel didn't just sit on the glass. It hacked the LED diodes embedded within the panels. Below, the pedestrians of Konoha looked up. The dignified, high-definition face of Hiruzen Sarutobi flickered. Suddenly, the stern, grandfatherly visage was replaced. Massive, crudely drawn snot began to drip from the CEO's nose. A speech bubble appeared next to his head, pixelated and garbled, broadcasting to the entire city. "I love doing paperwork and ignoring orphans." Naruto stopped his vertical sprint, hanging upside down on a window ledge, admiring his handwork. "Art is an explosion," he grinned, quoting some terrorist manifesto he'd read on the dark web. "And I am the fuse." The calm was shattered by the screech of sirens. Not the ground-level police cars, but the high-pitched whine of aerial pursuit drones. "Subject identified." A robotic voice boomed from the air. "Naruto Uzumaki, District 4 resident. Cease your vandalism and surrender immediately. This is a Class B violation of corporate airspace." 2 sleek, black drones with the red spiral insignia of the Konoha Police Force, KPF, dropped out of the smog, their strobe lights blinding him. "Catch me if you can, scrap metal!" Naruto yelled. He didn't surrender. He jumped. He pushed off the side of the skyscraper, free-falling 40 stories into the neon abyss. The drones dived after him, targeting lasers painting his back. Just as the ground rushed up to meet him, a mess of vending machines and garbage compactors, Naruto twisted his body. He slammed his palms together, fingers knotting into a ram's seal. He didn't know the theory behind it, didn't understand the biophysics of chakra molding that the elite kids learned in private tutoring. He just knew the feeling. A hot, burning knot in his stomach. Push! He fired a burst of invisible energy from his feet. It wasn't enough to fly, but it cushioned the impact. He hit a clothesline, swung onto a fire escape, and vaulted over a fence into the labyrinthine alleyways of District 4. He landed in a puddle of iridescent oil, panting, grinning like a maniac. "Too slow," he wheezed. Then, a hand made of iron clamped onto his shoulder. "Is that right?" Naruto froze. The voice was familiar. He looked up to see a man with a scar across his nose, wearing the tactical vest of a Chunin-level operative. The man's other hand held a glowing stun baton. "Hey, Iruka-sensei," Naruto chuckled nervously, putting his hands behind his head. "Nice night for a walk, huh?" The interrogation room at the academy wasn't a dungeon, it was worse. It was a brightly lit, sterile office that smelled of lemon cleaner and disappointment. Irika Yumino sat on the edge of the desk, rubbing his temples. Naruto sat in the plastic chair opposite him, his goggles around his neck, looking pointedly at a stain on the floor. I don't get it, Naruto, Irika said, his voice tired. You have the aptitude. You have the reflexes. I saw the footage. You managed to scale the Hokage Tower without safety gear. That requires chakra control that most genin struggle with. Why do you use it for this? Because nobody looks up otherwise. Naruto snapped, his head jerking up. Everyone walks around staring at their phones or their feet. But when I hack the big screens? When I tag the monuments? They have to look at me. They look at you with anger, Naruto. Not respect. Better than looking through me like I don't exist, Naruto muttered. Irika sighed. He looked at the boy, the scruffy blonde hair, the whisker-like birthmarks on his cheeks, the ragged clothes that marked him as a ward of the state. Irika knew the truth. He knew why the shopkeepers overcharged him, why the parents pulled their children away when he walked by. He knew about the Ninetales. 15 years ago, a biological catastrophe, a living mass of sentient, radioactive chakra in the shape of a fox, had decimated Konoha. The fourth CO, Minato Namikaze, had sacrificed his life to seal the entity's essence into a newborn baby. A human container. That container was sitting in the plastic chair, kicking his legs. Tomorrow is the graduation exam, Irika said softly. The real one. Not the mock test you blew off. If you don't pass, you're out of the program. You'll be assigned to sanitation or manufacturing in the lower levels. No more ninja training. No chance at becoming an operative. I'll pass, Naruto said, crossing his arms. I'm going to be the Hokage one day. Better than the old man Sarutobi. I'll make a company where everyone matters. You can't even perform a basic clone jutsu, Naruto. That technique is garbage. It's just light manipulation. It doesn't do anything. It's about discipline. Irika slammed his hand on the desk, making Naruto jump. Go home. Clean yourself up. And show up tomorrow ready to take this seriously. Naruto grabbed his backpack and stormed out. As the door clicked shut, Irika slumped. He hated being hard on the kid, but the world outside the academy walls, the world of shadowy assassinations, corporate espionage, and rogue ninja syndicates, didn't care about a boy's feelings. It would chew him up, especially him. The next morning, the exam room was buzzing with the hum of servers and the nervous chatter of 30 teenagers. The academy was a brutalist concrete bunker designed to churn out soldiers for the Hidden Leafs PMC contracts. The students here were the elite. There was Sasuke Uchiha, sitting in the back corner by the window. He wore a high-collared shirt with the fan symbol of his clan, a clan that no longer existed. He was staring at a tablet, his face a mask of bored indifference. The girls, Sakura and Ino, were whispering loudly about him, debating which of them would get to sit next to him during the tactical sim. Naruto sat alone in the front row. He felt the eyes on him. The dead last? The nuisance. All right, settle down, Irika called out, entering the room with a clipboard. The exam is simple. You will enter the simulation room one by one. You will demonstrate the transformation jutsu and the clone jutsu. Standard field specs. One by one, they went in. Sasuke Uchiha walked in, performed the hand signs faster than the eye could follow, and created 3 perfect holographic duplicates of himself, while simultaneously disguising himself as Irika. He passed with perfect marks. Sakura Haruno passed with perfect chakra efficiency, though her combat specs were lower. Then, it was Naruto's turn. The simulation room was a white void, lined with sensory cameras. Irika stood behind a glass partition next to Mizuki, another instructor with silver hair and a smile that never quite reached his eyes. Okay, Naruto, Irika said over the intercom. Create a clone. Naruto took a deep breath. He focused. He reached for that burning knot in his stomach. He needed to project his chakra outward, to bend light and create an image. He clapped his hands. Ram. Snake. Tiger. Clone jutsu. There was a wet poof sound. Smoke filled the room. When it cleared, there was no duplicate of Naruto. Instead, lying on the floor, was a pale, writhing blob of chakra that looked like it was in pain. Iruka put his head in his hands. Fail. Wait. Naruto yelled at the glass. I can do it again. My levels were just off. The regulators in this room are messing with me. The regulators are standard, Naruto, Iruka said. You failed. Iruka-sensei, Mizuki interjected, his voice smooth like oil. Perhaps we're being too harsh? His physical stats are off the charts, and he has immense stamina. Maybe we can pass him on a provisional license? Iruka looked at Mizuki sharply. No. We are sending them into the field, Mizuki. If he can't create a diversion, he dies. The answer is no. Naruto stood in the center of the white room, his fists clenched so hard his knuckles turned white. He didn't say another word. He just turned and walked out. Sunset in Konoha was a bruised purple affair. The smog from the industrial district reflected the neon lights of the entertainment sector, casting long, strange shadows across the city. Naruto sat on a swing set in a rusted playground on the border of District 4. He watched the other graduates walking home, showing their parents the metal forehead protectors that marked them as shinobi. Their parents hugged them. They went out for barbecue. Naruto swung back and forth, the chains creaking. Rough day? Naruto looked up. It was Mizuki. The silver-haired instructor was leaning against the chain-link fence, dressed in casual civilian clothes, a leather jacket and jeans. Leave me alone, Naruto muttered. Iruka is tough, isn't he? Mizuki said, walking over and sitting on the swing next to him. But he means well. He just doesn't want you to get hurt. He sees himself in you, you know. An orphan, no clan backing him. He hates me. Naruto kicked the dirt. Everyone does. I don't, Mizuki said. He smiled, and this time, it looked genuine. I think you have potential, Naruto. Raw, untapped power. The system is rigged against kids like you. They prioritize the Uchihas and the Hyugas. The bloodlines. Naruto looked at him. So, Mizuki leaned in, lowering his voice. There is another way to pass. A secret exam. Naruto's ears perked up. A secret exam? It's an old tradition, Mizuki lied effortlessly. For the students who don't fit the mold. The wild cards. If you can complete this mission, not only will you pass, but you'll be promoted straight to Chunin. You'll outrank Sasuke. What do I have to do? Naruto was already out of the swing. Mizuki pointed toward the center of the city, toward the Hokage Tower. In the third Hokage's private residence, inside the server room, there is a vault. Inside that vault is a physical artifact. An ancient hard drive known as the Scroll of Sealing. It contains the source code for the village's most forbidden jutsus. Steal from the Hokage? Naruto swallowed hard. Again, not steal, Mizuki corrected. Retrieve. If you can get it, bring it to the old energetic substation in the forest sector by midnight. If you can learn one jutsu from the drive before I get there, you pass. Naruto looked at the tower, then back at Mizuki. The desperation in his chest was a physical weight. He wanted the headband. He wanted them to look at him. I'll do it. The infiltration was easier than it should have been. Naruto knew the vents of the Hokage Tower better than the janitors did. He bypassed the motion sensors by moving in time with their sweep patterns. He jammed the pressure plates with gum. He reached the server room. It was a cold, blue-lit chamber filled with humming supercomputers. In the center, on a pedestal, was a glass case. Inside wasn't a sleek chip, but a bulky, ruggedized external drive wrapped in talisman paper. The old tech. The dangerous stuff. Naruto cut the glass with a diamond-tipped scribe he'd lifted from shop class. He grabbed the drive. Heavy, he whispered. He shoved it into his backpack and turned to leave. In the shadows of the room, a figure sat in a chair, watching the security feed on a tablet. Hiruzen Sarutobi took a drag from his pipe, the smoke curling around his wrinkled face. He saw the boy take the drive. He reached for the alarm button, his finger hovering over it. He thought of Minato. He thought of the village that treated the boy like a monster. Hiruzen sighed, and lowered his hand. Show me your will of fire, Naruto, he murmured to the empty room. The forest sector was a quarantine zone on the edge of the city, a place where the concrete gave way to genetically enhanced flora that had grown wild after the last Great War. The trees were massive, their roots crushing the ruins of old apartment blocks. Naruto sat in a clearing, the moonlight filtering through the canopy. He had the drive hooked up to his portable tablet. Come on, load. The screen flickered green. Access granted? File list. Whoa, Naruto's eyes widened. Shadow Strangle Jutsu. Flying Thunder God Algorithm. Reanimation Protocol. This stuff is insane. He scrolled until he found one that caught his eye. Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu. Class A forbidden? Iruka said I couldn't do a clone. Naruto gritted his teeth. So I'm going to learn the hardest clone jutsu in the database. I'll show him. He tapped the file. The screen filled with diagrams, chakra flow charts, and neural trigger sequences. It was complicated. It required splitting your chakra not just into light, but into matter, dividing your very existence. Okay, Naruto wiped sweat from his forehead. Let's do this. He stood up, forming the seal. He focused on the knot in his stomach. He pulled at it, harder than ever before. He felt a burning sensation, a malice that wasn't his, leaking into his system. Give me control, a voice whispered in the back of his mind. Shut up! Naruto yelled, shaking his head. I'm doing this. Hours passed. Naruto practiced until his muscles screamed. He vomited twice from chakra exhaustion. But he didn't stop. Suddenly, a twig snapped. Naruto spun around, a grin on his face. I did it, Mizuki-sensei. I learned it. It wasn't Mizuki. Iruka landed in the clearing, his tactical vest torn, breathing heavy. He looked terrifying. Naruto! Iruka roared. Do you have any idea what you've done? The entire police force is looking for you. Stealing the scroll of sealing is treason. You could be executed. Naruto blinked, confused. But the exam. Mizuki-sensei said if I got the drive and learned a move, I'd pass. Iruka froze. The color drained from his face. Mizuki? A sharp whistling sound cut through the air. Look out! Iruka tackled Naruto. A barrage of kunai knives slammed into the tree where Naruto had been standing. Iruka grunted as a blade embedded itself in his leg. Sensei! From the shadows of the trees, Mizuki emerged. But he wasn't wearing his civilian clothes anymore. He was wearing full combat gear, and strapped to his back was a massive, folding shuriken. Good job, Naruto, Mizuki laughed, a cold, metallic sound. Hand over the drive. What's going on? Naruto scrambled back, clutching the hard drive. Mizuki-sensei, why did you attack Iruka? Because he's an idiot, Mizuki sneered. And you're just a tool. A useful idiot. Naruto! Iruka winced, pulling the knife from his leg. Blood soaked his pant leg. Don't give it to him. Mizuki is selling that data to the Sound Syndicate. If that code gets out, it will destroy the village. Oh, stop the drama, Mizuki rolled his eyes. Naruto, think about it. Why do you think everyone hates you? Why do you think the village treats you like trash? Stop it, Mizuki! Iruka yelled. They hate you because you're not a boy, Mizuki grinned, his eyes wide with malice. You're the container. Inside you is the nine-tailed fox. The bioweapon that killed Iruka's parents. You are the monster that destroyed our city. The world stopped. Naruto stood paralyzed. The sound of the rain, the distant city hum, it all faded. The fox, the whispers, the glares. The way mothers pulled their children away. Don't get too close to him. He's dangerous. It all made sense. No. Naruto whispered. That's a lie. It's the truth, Mizuki said. Even Iruka hates you. He's been pretending this whole time. He looks at you and sees the beast that murdered his family. Naruto looked at Iruka. Iruka looked away, pain etched on his face. Naruto. Iruka started. Naruto screamed. It was a raw, broken sound. He turned and ran. He launched himself into the trees, chakra flaring erratically. Naruto, wait! Iruka tried to stand, but his leg buckled. Mizuki laughed, unholstering the giant shuriken from his back. Let him go. I'll kill him, take the drive, and then I'll come back for you. Mizuki vanished in a blur of speed. Iruka gritted his teeth. He reached into his vest and pulled out a syringe, a combat stimulant. He jammed it into his neck. Not on my watch, Iruka growled, ignoring the pain as he surged forward. Naruto ran until his lungs burned. He collapsed behind an old electrical relay station, hugging the hard drive to his chest. Tears streamed down his face, mixing with the grime. I'm a monster. That's why I have no parents. That's why I'm alone. He heard the whistle of wind. Naruto rolled to the side just as Mizuki's giant shuriken sheared through the relay station, sending sparks showering down. Mizuki landed on a tree branch above him. Found you, little fox. Stay away. Naruto shouted. Die, Mizuki said coldly. He rushed forward, a kunai in hand, aiming for Naruto's throat. Naruto flinched, closing his eyes. Thud. The blow didn't land. Warm liquid splattered onto Naruto's face. He opened his eyes. Iruka was standing over him, his arms spread wide in a protective stance. Mizuki's giant shuriken was embedded deep into Iruka's back. Blood dripped from Iruka's mouth onto Naruto's cheek. Sensei. Naruto whispered, his voice trembling. Why? Why? Iruka coughed, blood bubbling. Because we're the same, Naruto. When my parents died, nobody cared. I acted out. I was the class clown. I wanted attention. I wanted someone to know I existed. Tears fell from Iruka's face, mixing with the blood. I'm sorry, Naruto. I should have done more. I let you feel alone. You're not the fox. You're Naruto Uzumaki of Konoha. Something snapped inside Naruto. Not the seal. Not the demon. Something human. How touching, Mizuki sneered from the branch, preparing another weapon. But useless. Iruka, you said it yourself earlier. He's a beast. He'll use the scroll to destroy us all. You're wrong, Iruka wheezed, pulling the shuriken out of his own back with a sickening crunch. He collapsed to one knee. He's not a beast. He's my student. And he's a hell of a ninja, Mizuki snarled. Fine. I'll kill you first. Mizuki leaped, his killing intent flooding the clearing. Naruto stood up. He didn't look like a scared kid anymore. His eyes were shadowed, but burning with a fierce, cold blue light. He made a hand sign. It wasn't the tentative, shaky sign from the exam. It was solid. Perfect. If you touch him. Naruto's voice was low, vibrating with a strange power. I'll kill you, Mizuki laughed. With what? You can't even make a single clone. You're a failure. Naruto crossed his index and middle fingers. The chakra inside him surged. He didn't fight the fox's power this time. He borrowed just a drop of it, mixing it with his own rage. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Poof. The sound was like a thunderclap. The clearing exploded with smoke. Mizuki stopped midair, his eyes bulging. When the smoke cleared, the forest wasn't empty. It was crowded. 5, 10, 100, 1,000. 1,000 Narutos stood on the ground, on the tree branches, hanging from the power lines. The entire forest was filled with orange jumpsuits and steely blue eyes. What is this? Mizuki stammered, backing away. This isn't an illusion, these are solid mass projections. You said I couldn't make a clone, the Prime Naruto said, cracking his knuckles. So I made a few extras. Get him! One of the clones shouted. The army surged forward. It wasn't a fight, it was a riot. Mizuki was swarmed. He managed to take out 10, 20 clones, but for every one he destroyed, 2 more took its place. They punched him, kicked him, threw him into trees. This isn't possible. Mizuki screamed as he was buried under a pile of orange. Naruto watched, panting, as the clones dissipated one by one, leaving a battered, unconscious Mizuki tied up with his own tactical wire. Naruto walked over to Iruka, who was staring at him with wide, unbelieving eyes. Are you okay, sensei? Naruto asked, suddenly shy again. Iruka looked at the boy. He looked at the unconscious rogue ninja. He looked at the hard drive lying safe on the ground. He smiled, wincing at the pain in his back. Yeah. I think I'm okay. Iruka reached up and untied his own forehead protector. The metal plate with the leaf symbol caught the moonlight. He held it out. Come here, Naruto. Naruto stepped closer. Iruka tied the band around Naruto's forehead. It felt cool against his skin. It felt heavy. Congratulations, Irika said. You graduate. Naruto touched the metal plate. His lip quivered. Then, he lunged forward, burying his face in Irika's vest, sobbing uncontrollably. Thank you, thank you. Epilogue: The Tower. The sun rose over Konoha City, turning the steel skyscrapers to gold. Naruto sat at Ichiraku Ramen, a small, traditional stand tucked between a vape shop and a drone repair kiosk. He was eating his third bowl of miso pork ramen. The new headband gleamed on his forehead. You look happy today, Naruto, Tucci, the old man who ran the shop, said with a smile. Best day ever, old man. Naruto slurped. Outside, the city was waking up. The giant screens on the Hokage Tower were back to normal, displaying stock prices and propaganda. But Naruto knew that deep inside the tower, things were changing. Up in the CEO's office, Hiruzen Sarutobi watched a video feed of the ramen shop. He took the pipe from his mouth and exhaled a cloud of smoke. He mastered the multi-shadow clone in one night, Hiruzen mused. Minato, your son is certainly full of surprises. He tapped a file on his holographic desk. Team assignments. Place him on Team 7, Hiruzen ordered the empty room. With the Uchiha survivor and the Hareno girl. And assigned Kakashi Hatake as their handler. An Umbu operative materialized from the shadows, wearing a porcelain cat mask. Sir. Putting the Jinchuriki and the Uchiha on the same team? Is that wise? The political implications. It's not about politics, Hiruzen said, looking at the boy on the screen. It's about fate. The gears are turning, cat. The Akatsuki are moving. Orochimaru is restless. We need them to be strong. The Umbu bowed and vanished. Naruto finished his broth and slammed the bowl down. I'm gonna be the greatest shinobi this city has ever seen. He shouted to the street. A few people walked by and glared. But this time, Naruto didn't care. Let them look. He wasn't just the graffiti artist of District 4 anymore. He was a ninja of the leaf, and he had a city to save. The morning sun reflected off the chrome-and-glass exterior of the Konoha Academy, turning the building into a blinding beacon in the center of the education district. Inside, the air conditioning hummed with a sterile, white noise efficiency, scrubbing the air of the city's omnipresent smog. Naruto Uzumaki sat in the back of the lecture hall, his boots kicked up on the desk. The metal plate on his forehead, the Hittite, felt cool and heavy. It wasn't just a piece of metal. It was an ID badge, a license to kill, and a keycard to the restricted zones of the city. He ran his thumb over the engraved leaf symbol. I made it, he thought, a grin tugging at his whiskered cheeks. I'm actually an operative. The room was filled with the low murmur of the other graduates. These weren't the kids from the general education blocks who would go on to work in data entry or manufacturing. These were the special division graduates. The future shadows. Get your feet off the table, Naruto. The voice was sharp, annoyed, and unfortunately familiar. Naruto cracked an eye open to see Sakura Haruno standing over him. She was dressed in a pristine red Shipao-style combat tunic, her pink hair cut in a sharp, fashionable bob. She held a tablet against her chest like a shield. Relax, Sakura-chan, Naruto laughed, putting his hands behind his head. We're not students anymore. We're colleagues. Equals. We are not equals until we get assigned a squad leader, she huffed, turning her back on him to scan the room. Her eyes immediately softened, turning into liquid adoration as they landed on the figure sitting by the window. Sasuke-kun. Sasuke Uchiha sat in a pool of isolation. While other students chatted or compared gear, Sasuke was an island. He wore a high-collared blue shirt with the Uchiha fan crest on the back, a logo that used to appear on half the buildings in the city before the incident. He was checking the balance on a set of high-frequency tactical shuriken, ignoring the world. To the girls in the class, he was the tragic prince of a fallen corporate dynasty. To the guys, he was the benchmark they could never reach. To Naruto, he was just a jerk who thought he was better than everyone else. The door to the lecture hall slid open with a hydraulic hiss. Irika walked in, holding a digital datapad. The room went silent instantly. All right, settle down, Irika announced, tapping the screen. A holographic projection appeared at the front of the room, displaying a list of names. Today, you stop being classmates and start being a tactical unit. I will now announce the 3-man cells. These assignments are based on a complex algorithm balancing combat stats, psychological profiles, and chakra compatibility. They are non-negotiable. Naruto leaned forward. Please not with Kiba. He smells like wet dog and engine grease. Team 1. Irika began reading. Naruto tuned out. He tapped his fingers on the desk. Come on, come on. Team 7, Irika said, his voice echoing slightly. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto perked up. Sakura Haruno. Naruto jumped out of his chair, pumping a fist into the air. Yes. Did you hear that, Sakura-chan? It's destiny. Sakura slammed her head onto her desk with a groan of existential despair. And Irika continued, glancing up from the pad with a look that might have been pity. Sasuke Uchiha? The room froze. Then 2 reactions happened simultaneously. Sakura shot up, cheering, "True love wins." Naruto slumped over, his soul leaving his body. Why? Why do I have to be stuck with the brooding corporate emo kid? Sasuke didn't even look up. He just sighed, a sound of supreme irritation. Just don't get in my way, loser. Who are you calling a loser? Naruto snapped, jumping onto the desk and pointing a finger at Sasuke. I learned an S-class jutsu in one night. What have you done lately besides look at yourself in the mirror? Sasuke finally turned his head. His eyes were dark, devoid of the warmth that filled Naruto's. I trained. While you were painting graffiti, I was mastering the interception protocols. We are in different leagues, Naruto. Try not to die on the first mission. Enough! Irika barked. Team 8, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame. As Irika finished the list, the reality set in. The classroom began to empty as Jonin commanders, elite operatives in flak jackets, arrived to collect their squads. Asuma Sarutobi, a bearded man smoking a cigarette despite the no-smoking holographic signs, picked up Team 10. Kurina Yuhi, a woman with piercing red eyes and a sleek urban camo dress, took Team 8. One by one, the room cleared out, until only Team 7 remained. 2 hours later, the classroom was silent. The holographic projector had gone into sleep mode. Outside the window, the midday traffic of Konoha City was in full swing, hover transports zooming between the skyscrapers. Naruto paced back and forth, his boots squeaking on the linoleum. He's late! Naruto yelled. Every other team has already left. They're probably out doing cool missions. Saving the city. Defusing bombs. And we're sitting here like idiots. Sakura was sitting on a desk, swinging her legs, though her expression was tight. Sit down, Naruto. A Jonin wouldn't be late without a reason. Maybe he's gathering high-level intel. Or maybe he forgot about us, Sasuke said from the corner, his eyes closed. Naruto growled. He grabbed a distinctively analog object from the cleaning closet, a dusty chalkboard eraser filled with white chalk dust. What are you doing? Sakura asked. Teaching him a lesson, Naruto grinned. He dragged a chair over to the sliding door. He wedged the eraser into the gap between the door and the frame. When he opens it, bam! Chalk bath. That'll teach him to keep the future Hokage waiting. That's so childish, Sakura scolded, though inside, inner Sakura was chanting, do it! Do it! Crush him! He's a Jonin, Sasuke said dismissively. An elite killer. He'll sense the trap a mile away. You're wasting your time. Naruto hopped down from the chair. We'll see. A moment later, footsteps approached. They weren't the heavy, rhythmic boots of a soldier. They were lazy, shuffling steps. A hand reached for the door panel. The hydraulic hiss sounded. The door slid open. A man stepped in. He had silver hair that defied gravity, a mask covering the lower half of his face, and his headband was pulled down over his left eye. He wore the standard flak jacket, but he was slouched, and his attention was entirely focused on a small, orange e-reader tablet in his hand. Plip! The eraser fell. It hit him squarely on top of his head. A cloud of white dust exploded, coating his silver hair and the shoulder of his vest in powder. Silence stretched in the room. Naruto burst out laughing, clutching his stomach. I got him! I totally got him! Did you see his face? Sakura immediately stood up, clasping her hands apologetically. I'm so sorry, Sensei. I told him not to do it. He's out of control. Sasuke stared, his brow furrowed. He didn't dodge? A jonin got hit by a chalkboard eraser? Is this guy a joke? The man didn't move for a long moment. He slowly lowered his tablet. He reached up, dusted the chalk off his hair, and looked at the three of them with his one visible eye. It was a dead fish eye, lacking any spark of motivation. The man said, his voice muffled by the mask. How can I put this? My first impression of you guys. He paused. I hate you. The roof of the academy offered a panoramic view of Konoha. To the north, the Hokage monuments watched over the city. To the west, the industrial district belched steam. To the east, the residential megablocks stretched to the horizon. The wind whipped at them as they sat on the concrete steps. The man, who had introduced himself as Kakashi Hatake, leaned against the railing, finally putting his tablet away. All right, Kakashi said lazily. Let's do introductions. I want to know your names, your likes, your dislikes, your hobbies, and your dreams for the future. Why don't you go first, Sensei? Naruto asked. So we know how it's done. Me? Kakashi pointed to himself. I'm Kakashi Hatake. Things I like and things I hate. I don't feel like telling you that. My dreams for the future, never really thought about it. As for my hobbies, I have lots of hobbies. So all we learned was his name, Sakura whispered to Naruto. Okay, you? The loud one. You're up, Kakashi pointed at Naruto. Naruto adjusted his goggles. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I like instant ramen, and the ramen from Ichiraku's stand down in District 4 that old man Tucci makes fresh. I hate the 3 minutes you have to wait after you pour the hot water. My hobby is sampling different ramen shops and, urban exploration. He decided vandalism wasn't a good word to use with a cop. And my dream. Naruto stood up, his fist clenched. My dream is to become the greatest Hokage. I'm going to make the whole village acknowledge me. I'm going to run the city and make sure nobody gets left behind in the gutters again. Kakashi looked at him. The container of the 9 tails. He has a lot of energy. Interesting. Okay. Next. Pinky. I'm Sakura Haruno. She glanced sideways at Sasuke. What I like, or rather, the person I like is... She giggled. My hobby is, well, looking at. She squealed into her hands. And my dream for the future is to... She buried her face in her hands, turning red. Kakashi sighed. And what do you hate, Naruto? She snapped instantly. Naruto wilted. Girls her age are more interested in boys than ninjutsu, Kakashi thought. Though, her aptitude scores for chakra control are the highest in the class. A wasted talent if she doesn't focus. And finally... You. Sasuke didn't stand up. He sat with his elbows on his knees, staring intently at the ground. The air around him seemed to drop a few degrees. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I hate a lot of things, and I don't particularly like anything. The silence on the roof grew heavy. What I have isn't a dream, because I will make it a reality. I'm going to restore my clan's corporation, and I'm going to destroy a certain man. Naruto gulped. He looked serious. Is he talking about the guy who wiped out the Uchiha board of directors? Sakura looked at him with worry. Sasuke-kun. Kakashi's eye narrowed slightly. Just as I thought. He's drowning in it. The darkness. Good, Kakashi said, his tone shifting back to boredom. You're all unique. That's good for a team. We'll start our first mission tomorrow. What kind of mission? Naruto asked eagerly. Spying? Assassination? Protecting a VIP? Survival training, Kakashi said. Training? Sakura frowned. We did plenty of training at the academy. We're already certified genin. Kakashi chuckled. It was a low, ominous sound. The academy just teaches you how to read a map and throw a knife. This is different. Of the 27 graduates, only 9 will actually be accepted as genin. The other 18 will be sent back to the academy. Or worse, reassigned to Civ SEC. What? Naruto yelled. That's insane. I worked so hard to get this headband. The exam has a 66% failure rate, Kakashi said cheerfully. Bring your full gear. Meet me at the Memorial Park, Sector 3, at 5 a.m. sharp. He turned to walk away, then paused. Oh, and one more thing. Don't eat breakfast. He looked back over his shoulder, his eye crinkling into a smile. Unless you want to throw up. 5 a.m. arrived with a cold drizzle. Sector 3's Memorial Park was a synthetic marvel, a massive, walled-off zone in the middle of the city designed to look like the forests of old. The trees were real, transplanted and genetically fortified to survive the smog. A river flowed through the center, pumped by underground filtration systems. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura stood in a clearing. They had been there for hours. Their stomachs were growling. The sun had risen, burned off the mist, and climbed high into the sky. He's late again! Naruto shouted, kicking a stone. Sasuke leaned against a tree, sharpening a kunai. Sakura sat on a bench, looking exhausted. At 10 a.m., a puff of smoke appeared in the middle of the clearing. Kakashi stood there, looking fresh and rested. Yo, he waved. You're late! Naruto and Sakura screamed in unison. Sorry, Kakashi shrugged. A black cat crossed my path, so I had to take the maglev train all the way around the loop line. He walked over to a wooden post in the center of the clearing and placed a digital alarm clock on it. He set the timer to noon. Here's the deal. Kakashi reached into his pocket and pulled out 2 silver bells. They jingled softly, a bright, innocent sound in the tense air. There are 2 bells. Your mission is to take them from me before the timer hits 0. If you don't get a bell, you don't get lunch. He gestured to 3 bento boxes sitting on the memorial stone. The smell of teriyaki chicken and rice wafted toward them. Naruto's stomach gave a treacherous roar. But wait, Sakura counted on her fingers. There are 3 of us. And only 2 bells. Exactly, Kakashi said. At least one of you will end up tied to the post and disqualified. That person fails the program and goes back to the academy. The gravity of the situation hit them. It was a zero-sum game. To win, someone else had to lose. You can use your shuriken, your tech, your jutsus. Come at me with the intent to kill. If you don't, you won't even graze me. But sensei, that's dangerous. Sakura said. You saw Naruto in the academy. He couldn't even dodge a drone properly. She's right. Naruto laughed nervously. I mean, I'm great now, but you could get hurt. Kakashi picked up his orange tablet and started reading. It's always the ones with the loudest sparks who have the weakest bite. Ignore the loser. Start, now. Naruto didn't wait for a strategy meeting. He didn't check with his team. He just saw the bells. Here I come. Naruto drew a tactical knife from his leg holster and charged. He was fast, faster than an average human, using a burst of chakra in his soles to propel himself. He slashed at Kakashi. Kakashi didn't look up from his screen. He simply sidestepped, grabbed Naruto's wrist, twisted it behind the boy's back, and pinned his head down. I didn't say start yet, Kakashi said calmly. Well, actually I did. But you're too hasty. Let me go. Naruto struggled. Fine. Kakashi released him. Naruto stumbled back, rubbing his wrist. Ninja must know how to hide their presence, Kakashi lectured. Hide and seek. Basic urban stealth. Go. Sasuke and Sakura vanished instantly. Sakura slipped into the bushes, her camel cloak blending with the foliage. Sasuke leaped into the tree canopy, silent as a ghost. Naruto stood alone in the middle of the clearing. Hide? Naruto scoffed. I don't hide. I face things head on. Fight me fair and square. Kakashi looked at him over the top of his tablet. You're a strange one. The only thing strange here is your haircut. Naruto yelled. He charged again. But this time, he stopped mid-run. He crossed his fingers. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Poof. 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 7 Narutos appeared in a cloud of smoke. Kakashi's eyebrow raised slightly. Solid clones? Not just holograms? That's an advanced technique for a genin. His chakra reserves must be massive. Get him! The Narutos swarmed. 1 went high, 2 went low, 4 came from the sides. It was a chaotic brawl. Kakashi sighed. He tucked his tablet into his pouch. Taijutsu practice, then. He moved like water. He parried a punch, used the momentum to throw one clone into another, and ducked a kick. He wasn't even using his hands, he had them in his pockets. One Naruto managed to grab Kakashi from behind. Gotcha! Now, guys. The other Narutos wound up for a massive punch. Kakashi's eye glinted. Too slow. He performed a quick hand seal. Substitution jutsu. The Narutos punched the figure in the center. But it wasn't Kakashi. With a puff of smoke, they found themselves punching a heavy, metal trash can that had been sitting at the edge of the park. Oh wow! The clones cried out, clutching their bruised knuckles before popping out of existence. The real Naruto looked around, panicked. Where'd he go? Behind you, a voice whispered. Naruto spun around, but it was too late. Kakashi was crouching low, his hands clasped together in the tiger seal, the hidden leaf village secret taijutsu technique. Naruto braced himself for a fire blast or a lightning strike. 1,000 years of death. Kakashi thrust his fingers forward. Not a strike to the heart, but a poke to the rear end. Gah! Naruto was launched into the air like a rocket. He splashed spectacularly into the river. High in the trees, Sasuke watched the display with disdain. He's an idiot, Sasuke thought. But he created an opening. While Kakashi was distracted by Naruto's splashdown, Sasuke made his move. He didn't charge in. He calculated. He drew 3 shuriken. He didn't throw them straight. He curved his wrist, putting a heavy spin on them. They arced around the tree trunks, aiming for Kakashi from a blind spot. Kakashi, standing by the riverbank, didn't turn around. He simply caught 2 shuriken between his fingers and deflected the third with his metal forehead protector. Clang! He saw that? Sasuke gritted his teeth. No, he heard it. Standard triangulation. Sasuke moved. He dropped from the tree, landing silently. He went through a rapid sequence of hand signs. Snake. Ram. Monkey. Boar. Horse. Tiger. Kakashi's eye widened. Those signs, at his age? Sasuke inhaled, his chest expanding. The chakra in his gut converted to thermal energy. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Sasuke exhaled a stream of superheated flame. It wasn't a small puff. It was a roaring sphere of fire, 6 feet wide, incinerating the grass as it barreled toward Kakashi. The heat washed over the clearing. Boom! The fireball hit its target. Smoke and steam billowed up. Did I get him? Sasuke panted, wiping soot from his lip. The smoke cleared. There was nothing there but scorched earth. Down here. A hand burst from the dirt, grabbing Sasuke's ankle. Headhunter jutsu. Sasuke was yanked underground. In a second, he was buried up to his neck in the soil, his head the only thing sticking out. Kakashi crouched beside him, reading his book again. You have talent, Uchiha. But you're predictable. You telegraph your attacks with your killing intent. You're so eager to prove yourself that you forget to watch your surroundings. Kakashi stood up and walked away. Also, you're not getting a bell. Sakura was trembling. She was hiding under the roots of a massive oak tree. She had seen Naruto get launched. She had seen the fireball. This is insane, she thought. We're just kids. How are we supposed to beat a Jonin? Sakura. She froze. The voice came from behind the tree. Sasuke stepped out. He looked hurt. Blood was dripping from his forehead, and his leg was twisted at a sickening angle. Sasuke-kun! Sakura screamed, rushing out of her hiding spot. Oh my god, what happened? Help me! Sasuke wheezed, reaching out a hand. He broke my... As Sakura reached for him, the image of Sasuke began to distort. His face melted, turning into a horrific mess of pixels and gore. He screamed, a digital, glitching sound. No! Sakura shrieked, clutching her head. Her mind snapped under the stress. She fainted. Kakashi stepped out from behind the tree, dispelling the illusion. Genjutsu, he muttered. Rank D? She has the intellect to see through it, but her emotions make her vulnerable. Inner turmoil overrides logic. He looked at the alarm clock. Re-thying! Noon. The 3 of them sat by the wooden posts. Naruto was tied to the center post with high tensile wire. His stomach was rumbling so loudly it sounded like distant thunder. Sasuke sat on the grass, dirty and sullen. Sakura looked pale, having just woken up from her faint. Kakashi stood before them, holding the 3 bento boxes. Well, Kakashi said cheerfully. That was pathetic. The wind blew through the clearing. Naruto, you charge in without a plan. You're reckless. Sasuke, you assume you can do everything alone. You're arrogant. Sakura, you were so focused on Sasuke you didn't even try to help Naruto, and you didn't even know where Sasuke actually was. You're useless. They all looked down. You fail, Kakashi said. All of you. Go back to the academy. What? Naruto struggled against the wire. Give us another chance. We can do it. We just let our guard down. No, Kakashi's voice dropped. It became cold, hard steel. Ninja operations aren't a game. If this were a real mission, Naruto would be dead. Sasuke would be captured. Sakura would be compromised. You kids think this headband makes you soldiers? It just makes you targets. He walked over to the stone monument at the edge of the clearing. It was a polished slab of black obsidian, etched with thousands of names. Do you know what this is? Kakashi asked. A memorial, Sakura whispered. It's a list of Kia operatives, Kakashi said softly. My friends are on this stone. Silence descended. The weight of the words hung in the air. In a modern city where death was often sanitized or hidden behind screens, this physical reminder was jarring. I'm going to give you one last chance, Kakashi said, turning back to them. Their heads snapped up. I have to go file a report. I'll be back in 1 hour. You can eat lunch. Kakashi tossed 2 bento boxes to Sasuke and Sakura, but Kakashi pointed a finger at Naruto. Naruto gets nothing. He tried to eat the lunch before the test started. If you feed him, you fail immediately. I will know. Kakashi vanished in a puff of smoke. Naruto slumped against the post. It's fine, guys. I'm not hungry anyway. Grayral. His stomach betrayed him violently. Sasuke opened his bento. The smell of rice and egg was intoxicating. He picked up his chopsticks. Sakura looked at her food, then at Naruto, then at the trees where Kakashi had vanished. We shouldn't, Sakura whispered. If the sensei catches us. Sasuke stared at his food. He thought about the test. He thought about the fireball jutsu. He had exhausted nearly all his chakra. His body was shaking slightly from hypoglycemia. If they had to fight Kakashi again in an hour. Sasuke stood up. He walked over to Naruto and held out his box. Here, Sasuke said. Sasuke-kun. Sakura hissed. You heard him. We'll fail. Naruto is running on fumes, Sasuke said flatly. If we have to fight that guy again, Naruto is a liability. If he passes out, we're down a man. I'm not feeding him because I like him. I'm doing it because I want to win. Naruto looked at the food, eyes wide. Sasuke. Sakura looked at Sasuke, then at Naruto. She sighed, grabbed her own box, and shuffled over. Just take it, you idiot, she muttered, holding a piece of chicken to Naruto's mouth. But don't get used to it, you guys. Naruto teared up. Nom. He took a bite. Suddenly, the sky darkened. The wind picked up, howling through the trees. Thunder cracked. Kakashi exploded into existence in front of them, lightning crackling around his hands. His visible eye was wide with fury. I told you not to feed him, Sakura screamed. Naruto choked on the rice. Sasuke reached for his kunai. Are you prepared for the consequences? Kakashi roared, the pressure of his chakra forcing them into the ground. We're a team. Sasuke shouted back, standing his ground. He was weak. We help him. Yeah. Naruto yelled with his mouth full. We're in this together. We're one unit. Sakura squeaked. Kakashi stared at them. The lightning crackled. The tension was unbearable. Then, the storm vanished. The sun came back out. Kakashi's eye curved into a happy crescent. Pass. The 3 genin blinked. Huh, you pass, Kakashi smiled. In the ninja world, those who break the rules are scum, that's true. But those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. He gave them a thumbs up. The exercise wasn't about the bells. It was about seeing if you could look past your own interests and prioritize the squad. You're the first team I've ever passed. Naruto felt a lump in his throat. Worse than scum. Does that mean? Sakura asked. It means Team 7 starts its first official mission tomorrow, Kakashi said. Now let's go home. Kakashi turned and began to walk away. Sasuke and Sakura scrambled to their feet, grinning. Hey! Wait! Naruto yelled. Untie me! You forgot to untie me! Bye! Kakashi waved without looking back. Guys? Sasuke? Sakura-chan? Don't leave me here. It's gonna rain again. As the sun began to set over the high rises of Konoha, Naruto's shouts echoed through the park. But for the first time in his life, he wasn't shouting because he was alone. He was shouting because he was part of a team, and somewhere in the shadows of the city, the gears of a much larger machine began to turn. The weeks following the bell test were a lesson in the crushing weight of bureaucracy. For Naruto Uzumaki, who had dreamed of high-speed chases and rooftop battles, the reality of being a genin in the modern era was a slap in the face. It was less about saving the world and more about civil service. Mission complete, Kakashi's voice crackled over the team comms. Target acquired. Good work, Team 7. Naruto stood knee-deep in a drainage ditch in Sector 8, holding a struggling, hissing creature by the scruff of its neck. It was a cat, specifically, a genetically modified Siamese with a cybernetic eye implant, the property of the Fire Daimyo's wife. It had escaped its penthouse enclosure and led them on a 3-hour chase through the city's underground waste filtration system. This cat scratches! Naruto yelled into his headset, wincing as the feline's metallic claws raked across his cheek. And it smells like sewage! Why do we always get the garbage missions? It builds character, Kakashi replied lazily. He was sitting on a fire escape 3 stories up, reading his ebook. And it improves your tracking algorithms. Now bag it and tag it. We have to report back to the tower by 1400 hours. Sasuke was leaning against the graffiti-covered wall nearby, wiping slime off his immaculate blue shirt with a wet wipe. We are wasting our time, he muttered, his voice barely audible over the roar of the maglev trains passing overhead. My skills are degrading doing this custodial work, Sakura, who had been coordinating the drone net to corner the cat, sighed. Stop complaining, you two. A mission is a mission. It pays the rent. But even Sakura looked tired. The glamour of the headband was wearing off, replaced by the grime of the city. The Hokage Tower, Mission Control. The administrative heart of Konoha was a circular room lined with screens displaying real-time metrics of the city, power consumption, crime rates, chakra signatures, and stock market fluctuations. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, sat behind a desk made of synthetic mahogany, rubbing his temples. A hologram of the Fire Daimyo, the feudal lord who owned the majority shares in the Hidden Leaf Corporation, was fading from the center of the room. More budget cuts, Hiruzen sighed, lighting his pipe. The smoke curled up into the air filtration vents. They want us to increase security in the commercial district but refuse to pay for the extra manpower. Irika stood by the desk, sorting through digital mission scrolls. The genin teams are handling the low-level maintenance, sir. But morale is low. The door slid open with a hydraulic hiss. Team 7 walked in. Naruto looked like he had been dragged through a swamp, because he had. Sasuke looked murderous, and Sakura looked apologetic. Kakashi strolled in behind them, eyes glued to his screen. Mission report, Hiruzen said, putting on his professional face. Recovery of the asset Tora. Status? The cat is safe, Kakashi said without looking up. Though the client might want to check its claw calibration. It nearly took Naruto's eye out. I want a new mission. Naruto slammed his hands on the Hokage's desk, leaving muddy handprints on the polished surface. No more cats. No more picking up trash. No more babysitting. Give us something real, something with explosions. And bad guys. Naruto. Irika scolded. Show some respect to the CEO. Hiruzen chuckled softly. He looked at the boy. The whiskers on his cheeks were twitching with frustration. He saw the fire in Naruto's eyes, the will of fire that burned hotter than any fusion reactor. You are fresh genin, Hiruzen said. You start with D-rank tasks to learn the city's infrastructure. C-rank missions involve leaving the city limits, potential combat, and corporate espionage. You aren't ready. We are. Sasuke stepped forward. His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. We passed the survival test. Our combat specs are higher than any other rookie team. If you keep us in the cradle, we will atrophy. Hiruzen looked at Kakashi. The silver-haired Jonin shrugged. They're annoying, but they're not wrong. They're climbing the walls. Literally. Naruto tagged the ANBU locker room yesterday. Hiruzen sighed. He tapped a few keys on his desk. A file materialized on the main screen. Very well. I have a request that came in this morning. It's a C-rank escort mission. Standard protection detail. Yes. Naruto pumped his fist. Who are we guarding? A princess? A pop star? A corporate heir? Not quite, Hiruzen said. Send him in. The side door opened. A man stumbled in, smelling of cheap whiskey and sawdust. He wore a tool belt over a stained jumpsuit, a towel wrapped around his neck, and thick, wire-rimmed glasses. He took a swig from a hip flask and squinted at the team. This is it? The man grunted, his voice rough like gravel. A bunch of brats? One looks like an idiot, one looks like he's going to a funeral, and the girl looks like she's worried about breaking a nail. Hey! Naruto shouted. Who are you calling an idiot, you drunk old man? I am Tazuna, the man said, taking another drink. I am a master architect and bridge builder. And you lot are going to escort me back to the land of waves. You are going to protect me with your lives until I finish my bridge. Try not to die, brats. The departure, leaving Konoha, was an event in itself. The city was surrounded by a massive perimeter wall, 50 meters high, topped with sensory barriers and automated defense turrets. They met at the West Gate terminal. The transition from the high-tech metropolis to the outside world was stark. Inside the walls, climate control, Wi-Fi, safety. Outside, the wild, unregulated world where the laws of the great nations held loose sway. Do you have your passports? Kotetsu, the gate guard, asked, scanning their headbands. And your travel visas? We're Shinobi, Kakashi said, flashing his digital badge. We are the visa. Tazuna was already waiting, sitting on his heavy duffel bag. He looked soberer than he had in the office, but his eyes were constantly darting around, scanning the crowd. Let's move, Tazuna muttered. The train leaves in 10 minutes. They boarded the Thunder Rail, a high-speed bullet train that connected the Fire Nation's major hubs. The interior was sleek, silver, and sterile. They found a private compartment. As the train accelerated, leaving the city behind, the landscape blurred. The towering skyscrapers gave way to sprawling suburbs, then to industrial wasteland, and finally to the deep, overgrown forests that covered most of the continent. Naruto was glued to the window. Whoa! Look at that cow! Look at that tree! I've never been this far out before. Sit down, Naruto, Sakura hissed. You're embarrassing us. Sasuke sat with his arms crossed, observing Tazuna. The old man was sweating, despite the train's air conditioning. He was clutching his bag tight. So, Mr. Tazuna, Kakashi said, not looking up from his book. You're from the land of waves? That's a small island nation, right? Not part of the Shinobi Alliance. Yeah, Tazuna grunted. We're independent. No hidden village. Just fishermen and boat builders. Peaceful, Kakashi noted. So why do you need an escort? C-rank implies protection from bandits or gangs. Surely the local police could handle that? Tazuna flinched. Just general safety. The roads aren't what they used to be. Naruto got bored of the window and looked at the old man. So, what kind of bridge are you building? Is it a hyperloop? A connection, Tazuna said, staring at his rough hands. A connection to the mainland. To free us. Free you from what? Sakura asked. Before Tazuna could answer, the train entered a long tunnel. The lights in the cabin flickered. The hum of the magnetic rails grew louder, echoing off the concrete walls. Kakashi closed his book. His visible eyes sharpened. On the floor of the compartment, near the sliding door, a small puddle of water had formed. Naruto noticed it first. Huh! Did the AC leak? Water? Sasuke thought. In a hermetically sealed, climate-controlled train car? Suddenly, the puddle exploded. Two figures erupted from the liquid, moving with terrifying speed. They wore rebreather masks and gauntlets equipped with retractable, jagged claws connected by a long, razor-sharp chain. One down! One of them roared. They moved in perfect synchronization. They threw the chain around Kakashi, who was sitting near the door. The chain tightened around the Jonin's neck and chest. "Sensei!" Sakura screamed. "Now!" The brothers shouted together. They yanked the chains in opposite directions. With a sickening crunch, Kakashi's body was torn apart. Limbs and gear scattered across the cabin floor. "Kakashi-sensei!" Naruto froze. His brain couldn't process the violence. 1 second, his teacher was there. The next, he was chunks of meat. Fear, cold and paralyzing, gripped his heart. The two assassins didn't stop. They turned their cold, masked gazes toward the next target. "Next is the old man," the first brother hissed. They lunged past the frozen Naruto, their claws extended, aiming for Tazuna's throat. Tazuna screamed, throwing his hands up. "Move!" Naruto screamed internally. "Move your legs!" But he couldn't. He was a rabbit in the headlights. A blur of blue motion intercepted the attack. Sasuke was in the air. He had thrown a shuriken, pinning the assassin's chain to the metal ceiling of the train car. Before they could retract it, he kicked off the headrest of a seat, landing on their gauntlets. With a fluid motion, Sasuke grabbed the chain, used the assassin's own momentum against them, and kicked both of them in the face. "Sakura! Guard Tazuna!" Sasuke ordered, his voice calm. "Right." Sakura snapped out of her shock. She jumped in front of the architect, pulling a kunai knife from her leg holster. "Don't come any closer." The assassins recovered instantly. They detached the chain from their gauntlets. One rushed Sasuke. The other turned back toward Naruto. "Die, kid!" The assassin roared, slashing his claws at Naruto. Naruto saw the metal claws coming. He saw his death. "Do something!" Naruto threw himself backward, but he was clumsy. The claws raked across his hand, shredding his glove and drawing blood. He hit the floor hard. The assassin raised his claw for the finishing blow. Suddenly, a hand grabbed the assassin's wrist. It was Kakashi. But Kakashi was dead? Naruto looked over at the pile of gore by the door. It wasn't flesh and blood anymore. It was a pile of wooden logs and torn upholstery foam. Substitution jutsu. "Yo," Kakashi said, his voice deadly serious. With a swift chop to the neck, Kakashi knocked the assassin unconscious. Sasuke had already disabled the other one, pinning him to the floor with an arm bar. The train burst out of the tunnel and back into the sunlight. The cabin was silent, save for the heavy breathing of the team. Kakashi looked at the two unconscious men. He pulled down the assassin's mask to reveal a distinct headband, the hidden mist. "Chunin level," Kakashi muttered. "The demon brothers. Mercenaries." He turned to his team. "Sasuke, good reaction time. Smooth. Sakura, good positioning." He looked at Naruto. Naruto was clutching his bleeding hand, trembling. He looked small. "Naruto," Kakashi said, not unkindly. "You froze. If I hadn't stepped in, you'd be dead." Naruto gritted his teeth. He looked at Sasuke, who was calmly cleaning his boots. He looked at Sakura, who was pale but composed. He was the only one who had panicked. "And you?" Kakashi turned his single eye toward Tazuna. The architect was shaking, clutching his flask. "We need to talk. These aren't bandits. These are elite hitmen. This is at least a B-rank mission. You lied on the application forms." The ultimatum. The train continued its journey, but the atmosphere in the cabin had shifted. It was no longer a field trip. It was a war zone. Kakashi sat opposite Tazuna, arms crossed. "B-rank missions cost 5 times what you paid, Tazuna. And they require Chunin or Jonin squads. My students are genin. We are not equipped for assassination attempts." I couldn't afford the B-rank fee," Tazuna admitted, his head in his hands. "The land of waves is poor. We're starving." "Who is after you?" Kakashi asked. "Gato," Tazuna whispered the name like a curse. "Gato?" Kakashi raised an eyebrow. "Gato Industries? The shipping magnate? He's one of the richest men in the world. On the surface, he's a legitimate CEO," Tazuna spat. "Underneath, he's a monster. He came to our island a year ago. He used his private security forces to take control of our ports, our shipping lanes, our imports. He controls the food, the medicine, the data lines. He's strangling us." Tazuna looked up, tears in his eyes behind the thick glasses. The bridge I'm building, it connects directly to the mainland's Fire Nation highway. It bypasses his ports. It breaks his monopoly. If I finish it, his stranglehold breaks. That's why he wants me dead, Kakashi sighed. This is messy. Corporate wars are dangerous territory. Technically, this breaches our contract. We should return to Konoha. No! Naruto stood up. He had wrapped his bleeding hand in a bandage. His eyes were fierce. We can't go back, Naruto, Kakashi warned. You saw what happened. You froze. Next time, it won't be Chunin brothers. It will be Jonin. Real killers. I won't freeze again. Naruto pulled a kunai and stabbed it into the back of his own hand, piercing the bandage. Naruto! What are you doing? Sakura shrieked. I swear it on this pain. Naruto shouted, adrenaline masking the sting. I won't run away. I won't lose to Sasuke. And I won't leave this old man to die. I'm a ninja, aren't I? He looked at Tazuna. We're going. Sasuke smirked. Fine by me. Kakashi looked at his students. He saw the resolve. He sighed, scratching his head. Hiruzen is going to kill me for this. All right, Kakashi said. We continue. But stick close to me. No heroics. Into the mist. The train ride ended at the coast. From there, the modern world began to decay. The sleek maglev lines ended, replaced by cracked asphalt and rusted guardrails. To reach the land of waves without alerting Gato's surveillance grid, they had to go by boat. A contact of Tazuna's met them at a hidden cove, a fisherman with a boat that ran on a silent electric motor. As they crossed the strait, a thick, unnatural fog rolled in. Visibility dropped to near zero. The holographic map on Kakashi's tablet flickered and died. Signal jamming, Kakashi whispered. We're inside the blockade zone. No GPS. No cellular. The bridge. Tazuna pointed. Through the mist, massive concrete pillars loomed out of the water. It was a colossal structure, half-finished, stretching into the gray void. Cranes stood silent like skeletal sentinels. It's huge, Sakura whispered. It's our hope, Tazuna said. They landed at a rotting wooden dock. The town of Wave was a collection of shanties built on stilts over the polluted water. The air smelled of ozone, rust, and desperation. There were no neon signs here, no holographic ads. Just gray reality. I have to get to my house, Tazuna said. My daughter and grandson are there. We can strategize there. They moved through the forest on the outskirts of the town. The trees here were mangled, their roots exposed to the swampy water. Kakashi walked in front, his hand resting near his holster. Naruto walked in the back, constantly looking over his shoulder. He wasn't scared anymore. He was hyper-aware. Every snapping twig, every rustle of leaves made him tense. Throwing a kunai at a rabbit, Naruto thought, scolding himself as he retrieved a blade he'd thrown at a snow-white hare. Get a grip, Naruto, Kakashi called out. Stop wasting ammo on wildlife. That rabbit. Look at its coat. Naruto held up the rabbit. It was white. It's summer, Kakashi said, his voice dropping an octave. Why does a rabbit have its winter coat? It was kept indoors, Sasuke realized. Raised for an experiment? Or, replacement jutsu fodder, Kakashi finished. Get down! Kakashi grabbed Tazuna and tackled him to the ground. A sound like a jet engine tore through the air. A massive object spun out of the mist, shearing through the trees above their heads. It wasn't a projectile, it was a sword. A blade the size of a surfboard, spinning like a helicopter rotor. The sword slammed into the trunk of a massive tree with a thunderous thud, burying itself deep in the wood. Standing on the hilt of the sword, looking down at them, was a man. He was shirtless, wearing baggy cowprint pants and arm warmers. His face was wrapped in bandages, and he wore a metallic forehead protector tilted to the side. But the most striking feature was the industrial-grade rebreather mask covering his mouth and nose, hissing softly with each breath. Kakashi stood up slowly, brushing dirt off his vest. Well, Kakashi said lightly. If it isn't the demon of the hidden mist. Zabuza Momochi. Zabuza stared down at them with cold, dead eyes. And you, the copy ninja. Kakashi of the Sharingan. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura froze. The killing intent radiating from this man was palpable. It felt like the air had turned into sludge. It was heavy, suffocating. Hand over the old man, Zabuza's voice was distorted by the mask, sounding metallic and hollow. And I might let you kids live. Sorry, Kakashi stepped forward, reaching for his headband. But he's my client. Then you die, Zabuza said. Manji formation. Kakashi ordered his team. Protect Tazuna. Do not join the fight. That is an order. Kakashi pulled his headband up, revealing his left eye. It wasn't a normal eye. It was red, with 3 black tomos spinning slowly around the pupil. It glowed with a faint, bioluminescent light. The Sharingan. Oh? Zabuza chuckled. I get to see the legendary eye already? A cybernetic implant capable of analyzing jutsu code in real time. Impressive. It's not an implant, Kakashi said. It's a legacy. Zabuza grabbed the hilt of his massive sword, the Kubikuribocho, executioner's blade, and ripped it from the tree with one hand. Let's see if the rumors are true. Zabuza leaped. He didn't fall. He landed on the surface of the swamp water, standing on top of the liquid as if it were solid ground. He raised one hand, fingers forming a seal. Ninja art, hidden misjutsu. The fog thickened instantly. It became a wall of white. Naruto couldn't see his hand in front of his face. 8 points, Zabuza's voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere. Larynx. Spine. Lungs. Liver. Jugular. Subclavian artery. Kidneys. Heart. Which should I target first? The pressure was immense. Sasuke was shaking. He held his kunai with trembling hands. I can't see him. I can't sense him. He's going to kill us. Sasuke felt the urge to turn the kunai on himself, just to end the tension. A warm hand touched Sasuke's shoulder. Calm down, Sasuke, Kakashi's voice cut through the fog. I won't let my comrades die. Is that a promise? Zabuza whispered right behind them. Before Kakashi could turn, Zabuza was there, in the middle of the genin formation, his sword raised to cleave Tazuna in half. Too slow, Kakashi moved. He lunged, stabbing a kunai into Zabuza's chest. Splash. Zabuza turned into water and collapsed. A water clone. Behind you, Kakashi! Naruto screamed. The real Zabuza swung the massive sword at Kakashi's midsection. Kakashi ducked, but the blade grazed his vest. Zabuza followed up with a kick that sent Kakashi flying into the murky water of the bay. Zabuza sprinted across the water after him. Water style. Water prison jutsu. Zabuza slammed his hand into the water near Kakashi. A sphere of dense, pressurized water formed around Kakashi, trapping him inside. It was heavy water, impossible to break from the inside. Zabuza held his hand in the sphere, maintaining the lock, and smirked at the terrifying genin on the shore. Game over, Zabuza laughed, his mask hissing. Your teacher is trapped. Now, it's your turn. He created another water clone. The clone stepped onto the shore, cracking its knuckles. It radiated power far beyond anything they had faced in the academy. Run! Kakashi shouted from inside the bubble, his voice muffled. Take Tazuna and run! You can't beat him. Naruto looked at the clone. He looked at Sasuke, who was frozen in fear. He looked at Tazuna, who was resigned to death. Naruto felt his bandaged hand throb. I swore I wouldn't run away. Naruto took a step forward. His headband gleamed in the dull light. Hey, no brows, Naruto pointed at the real Zabuza holding the prison. Put that in your bingo book. The ninja who's going to kick your ass is Naruto Uzumaki. The plan. Naruto, don't be stupid! Sakura cried. The Zabuza clone laughed and kicked Naruto in the chest. Naruto flew back, his headband flying off his forehead. The clone stepped on the headband, grinding it into the mud. You're just brats playing soldier, the clone sneered. Sasuke watched Naruto get up. Naruto was wiping blood from his mouth. He wasn't retreating. Why? Sasuke thought. Why isn't he scared? Sasuke! Naruto shouted. I have a plan. A plan? Sasuke blinked. Yeah, Naruto grinned, a wild, reckless look in his eyes. But I need you to back me up. Sasuke looked at the enemy. He looked at Kakashi trapped in the water. If they ran, Kakashi died. If they fought, they probably died. But Naruto's eyes, they were annoying. They were confident. Sasuke smirked. Don't drag me down, loser. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto summoned 20 clones. They swarmed the Zabuza clone. Useless. The clones slashed through them like they were paper. But amidst the chaos, the real Naruto reached into his backpack and pulled out a massive, collapsing shuriken, the Demon Wind Shuriken. Sasuke! Catch! Naruto threw the shuriken to Sasuke. Sasuke caught it. He understood instantly. The weight of the weapon, the angle of the throw, he knew what Naruto wanted. Sasuke leaped into the air. He unfolded the 4 blades of the shuriken. He infused it with lightning chakra, making the blades hum with electricity. Shadow Shuriken technique. Sasuke threw the weapon at the real Zabuza out on the water. Predictable, Zabuza muttered. He couldn't move his hand from the prison, or Kakashi would escape. But he had his other hand free. The shuriken flew toward him. Zabuza caught it easily in his free hand. Is that it? Zabuza mocked. But then, a second shuriken appeared from the shadow of the first. A secondary projectile hidden in the blind spot. Clever, Zabuza thought. But not enough. He leaped over the second shuriken. It passed harmlessly beneath him. Missed, Zabuza sneered. Poof. Behind Zabuza, the second shuriken exploded into smoke. It wasn't a shuriken. It was Naruto, transformed. Naruto appeared in the air behind Zabuza's back, a kunai in his hand. Eat this. Naruto threw the kunai, not at Zabuza, but at the arm holding the water prison. Zabuza's eyes widened. I can't dodge this without letting go of the prison. He had no choice. He ripped his hand away to dodge the blade. The water prison collapsed. Kakashi exploded out of the water, coughing but free. Good work, guys, Kakashi panted. He glared at Zabuza. Now round 2. Zabuza backed away, putting distance between himself and the copy ninja. The mist began to swirl violently. Kakashi began to weave hand signs. But he wasn't just weaving them. His Sharingan was spinning, analyzing every twitch of Zabuza's muscles, every fluctuation of his chakra. Zabuza started a hand sign, ox. Kakashi mirrored it instantly, ox. Zabuza, monkey. Kakashi, monkey. Zabuza, hare. Kakashi, hare. What is this? Zabuza panicked. Is he reading my mind? Is he seeing the future? Kakashi stared deep into Zabuza's eyes. Yes. I see your death. They finished the sequence together. Water style, water dragon jutsu. They both shouted. 2 massive dragons made of condensed water rose from the bay. They collided with the force of a tsunami, sending shockwaves through the swamp. The water blasted the trees, stripping the bark. Kakashi pushed harder. His dragon, fueled by precision chakra control, overpowered Zabuza's. It slammed into the assassin, driving him into a massive tree trunk. Zabuza coughed blood, slumped against the wood. He tried to lift his sword, but his arms were shattered. Kakashi walked over, a kunai in hand. It's over, Zabuza. You, damn, corporate dog. Zabuza wheezed. Kakashi raised the blade. Thwip. Thwip. 2 thin, silver needles, Saban, flew from the treetops. They pierced Zabuza's neck with surgical precision. Zabuza's eyes rolled back. He went limp. Dead? Kakashi paused, checking the pulse. No heartbeat. On a branch above them stood a figure wearing a porcelain hunter-nin mask with the Mist Village symbol. Thank you, the figure said, voice polite and androgynous. I have been tracking this rogue element for a long time. A hunter-nin, Kakashi noted. Disposal squad. You're taking the body? It holds many secrets, the hunter-nin said. With a swirl of leaves, the figure appeared next to Zabuza, lifted the heavy body effortlessly, and vanished. Wait! Naruto shouted, running forward. Who was that guy? He took our kill. He was just a kid like us. Kakashi put a hand on Naruto's head. Easy, Naruto. The world is full of kids younger than you who are stronger than me. Kakashi pulled his headband down over his Sharingan. He stumbled. Sensei? Sakura asked. I think. Kakashi muttered, swaying. I used too much battery. He collapsed face first into the dirt. Kakashi-sensei, the land of waves was a misnomer. It should have been called the land of rust. Naruto adjusted the strap of his backpack, wincing as the fabric rubbed against his bruised shoulder. The adrenaline of the battle on the water had faded, leaving behind a deep, aching exhaustion that settled into his bones. The fog here didn't feel like weather. It felt like a ceiling, trapping the smog and the scent of decay close to the ground. They were walking through the outskirts of the commercial district, or what used to be one. Now, it was a graveyard of industry. Skeletal cranes loomed overhead like prehistoric beasts frozen in extinction. Warehouses with shattered windows stared out at the muddy road like empty skulls. Almost there, Tazuna grunted. The architect was carrying the unconscious Kakashi on his back, though the old man was surprisingly sturdy. My house is just past the old shipping yards. This place is a dump, Sasuke muttered, scanning the perimeter. He walked with a limp, favoring his left leg, but his eyes were sharp, his hand never straying far from his hip holster. It wasn't always like this, Tazuna said, his voice heavy. Before Gato, we had trade. We had tourism. Now we just have silence. Sakura walked beside Tazuna, checking Kakashi's vitals on her wrist-mounted medical scanner. His heart rate is stabilizing, but his chakra levels are critically low. It's like his battery has been drained to zero. The Sharingan must consume a massive amount of bioenergy. He's a glutton for punishment, Tazuna wheezed. They reached the house. It was a defiant structure, a large wooden home built on stilts directly over a canal, connected to the mainland by a sturdy walkway. Unlike the rotting shanties they had passed, this house was maintained. The wood was varnished, the windows were intact, and a warm, yellow light spilled onto the dark water below. The door burst open before they even reached it. A young woman with dark hair tied back in a bandana ran out. "Father!" "Tsunami," Tazuna smiled wearily. "You're alive!" She hugged him, burying her face in his stained jumpsuit. Then she looked at the three teenagers and the unconscious man. "Are these the specialists?" "Genin operatives from Konoha," Tazuna nodded. "They saved my life. Get the guest room ready. We have a casualty." The deduction. Kakashi woke up to the smell of antiseptic and sea salt. He blinked his single visible eye. He was lying on a futon in a room with tatami mats, but the equipment surrounding him was modern. Portable 4 drips and a biomonitor beeping softly in the corner. He tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. The world spun. "I wouldn't move if I were you, sensei," a voice said. Kakashi looked over. Sakura was sitting by the window, mixing a green herbal paste in a mortar. Naruto and Sasuke were asleep on the floor, curled up in their sleeping bags like exhausted stray dogs. "How long was I out?" Kakashi asked, his voice rasping. 2 days, Sakura said. "Your chakra network went into emergency shutdown. You nearly burned out your neural pathways." 2 days. Kakashi stared at the ceiling. His mind began to boot up, replaying the fight with Zabuza. The water dragon. The collision. The hunter Nin. The hunter Nin. Kakashi frowned. Something didn't fit. "Sakura," Kakashi said sharply. "The body. Zabuza's body. What did the hunter Nin do with it?" Sakura looked up, surprised by the intensity in his voice. "He took it. He said he had to dispose of it to protect village secrets. That's standard protocol for hunter Nins, right? Corpse processing team rules." "Standard protocol," Kakashi murmured, "is to dispose of the body on site. If you carry a body away, you risk the enemy tracking you, or the body decomposing before you can extract intel. They usually sever the head and burn the rest immediately." Kakashi sat up, ignoring the vertigo. "And the weapon?" Kakashi continued, his eye narrowing. "He used Samba needles. Throwing needles rarely kill unless they hit a vital organ perfectly. But he hit the neck. A hit to the neck usually causes massive bleeding, yet there was almost none." Sasuke stirred in his sleeping bag. He sat up, rubbing his eyes. "What are you mumbling about?" "Zabuza is alive," Kakashi stated. The room went silent. Even Naruto, who was snoring a moment ago, snorted awake at the lack of noise. "Alive?" Naruto yelled, scrambling out of his bag. "But we checked him. No heart rate. No breathing." "A temporary state of suspended animation," Kakashi explained, swinging his legs out of bed. Saban needles, if applied to the correct pressure points in the cervical spine, can stop the heart momentarily and drop the metabolic rate to near zero. It's a medical trick, not a killing blow. So the Hunterine was a fake? Sasuke asked, his expression hardening. An accomplice, Kakashi corrected. He saved Zabuza right under our noses. He waited until Zabuza was incapacitated, then staged his death to get him away from us. That sucks. Naruto threw his hands in the air. We nearly died fighting that guy, and now we have to do it again. Not immediately, Kakashi said. Hitting the pressure points that hard takes a toll. Zabuza will need at least a week to recover full mobility. That gives us a window. A window to do what? Sakura asked nervously. Run? Kakashi looked at his three students. He saw the fear in Sakura, the anger in Sasuke, and the stubborn confusion in Naruto. They were raw. They were unpolished. Against a recovered Zabuza and a fresh accomplice, they would be slaughtered. No, Kakashi pulled his mask up. A window to train. The concrete jungle. The next morning, the fog was thinner, but the air was just as cold. Kakashi led them away from the house, deeper into the industrial sector of the island. They passed abandoned factories and silent assembly lines until they reached a construction site that had been frozen in time. It was a graveyard of ambition. Massive steel girders jutted out of the ground like ribs. Unfinished concrete pillars rose 10 stories high, surrounded by rusting scaffolding. This will do, Kakashi said, leaning on a crutch. Training? Naruto looked around. Are we gonna lift rocks? Spar? Learn to blow stuff up? You're going to learn chakra control, Kakashi said. We know chakra control. Naruto groaned. We learned it at the academy. Mold the energy, release the energy. Basic stuff. Basic? Kakashi chuckled. Naruto, you waste 80% of your chakra every time you use a jutsu. Sasuke, your flow is strong but rigid. Sakura, well, Sakura is actually decent. Kakashi hobbled over to a massive vertical steel beam that supported an overhead crane track. Chakra is bioelectric energy, Kakashi lectured. It flows through your nervous system and circulatory system. To use jutsu, you convert stamina into this energy. But to be a high-level operative, you need to apply it physically. Kakashi turned to the steel beam. He didn't use his hands. He simply walked toward it. When his sandal hit the vertical metal surface, he didn't stop. He kept walking, defying gravity, stepping up the beam until he was hanging upside down from the crane track, 30 feet in the air. Whoa! Naruto's mouth hung open. Magnetic boots? No boots, Kakashi called down. Just chakra. By focusing a constant, precise amount of energy to the soles of your feet, you can create a localized bond, like an electromagnet or a gecko's grip, that adheres you to any surface. Solid, liquid, vertical or inverted. He dropped down, landing softly. This is vital for urban combat. You need to be able to run up skyscrapers, stick to the underside of bridges, and fight on glass walls. If you can master this, your control over your jutsu will improve exponentially. He threw 3 kunai at their feet. Mark your progress. Run up the beam. Mark the highest point you reach without using your hands. Start. Piece of cake. Naruto shouted. He concentrated. He squeezed his eyes shut. He felt the burning knot of chakra in his stomach. Go to the feet. Go to the feet, he yelled and sprinted at the beam. Clang. His foot hit the metal, but instead of sticking, he pushed off with explosive force. He launched himself backward, flying through the air and landing flat on his back in a pile of gravel. Too much power, Kakashi critiqued casually. Sasuke smirked. Idiot. Sasuke stepped up. He took a deep breath. He visualized the flow. Precision. Control. He ran. He hit the beam. Step. 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 He made it about 10 feet up. Then, his foot slipped. The bond wasn't strong enough to hold his weight against gravity. He slid down, scrabbling for purchase, and landed on his feet, looking annoyed. Too little power, Kakashi noted. Hey! Look at me! They all turned. Sakura was sitting casually at the very top of the highest pillar, swinging her legs over the edge. She waved down at them. Is this right, sensei? She called out. Kakashi smiled beneath his mask. Perfect, Sakura. Your efficiency is textbook. You understand the frequency required to bond with the concrete. Naruto stared up, jaw dropped. No way. Sakura-chan is amazing. Sasuke gritted his teeth, staring at the mark he had made on the metal. I lost to her? No. She's always been good at the book stuff. But this is physical application. How? Sakura, you can step down, Kakashi said. You'll be on guard duty for Tazuna today. Naruto, Sasuke, you don't eat, you don't sleep, and you don't stop until you reach the top. The rivalry. The sun began to climb higher, burning through the mist. The sounds of exertion filled the empty construction site. Thud. Clang. Thud. Slide. Naruto was a mess of bruises. He kept applying too much chakra, blasting himself off the metal like a rocket, or not enough, slipping instantly. Sasuke was methodical. He ran, marked his spot, fell, adjusted, and ran again. He was inching higher, but the progress was agonizingly slow. Damn it, Sasuke panted, wiping sweat from his forehead. He was upside down, about 15 feet up, when his concentration wavered. He fell, twisting in the air to land in a crouch. Naruto was lying on the ground nearby, staring at the sky. Hey Sasuke, Naruto wheezed. What? Can you give me a hint? Sasuke looked at him. The Uchiha pride flared. Help the rival? Help the dead last? But then he looked at the top of the crane. He looked at the distance he still had to cover. He remembered Zabuza's eyes. He remembered freezing on the train. Sasuke stood up and walked over to where Sakura was sitting, watching them while keeping an eye on the perimeter. Sakura, Sasuke said quietly. Sasuke-kun. She beamed. Do you need a towel? Water? No, Sasuke muttered, looking away. The focal point. How do you maintain the static adhesion while moving? When I shift my weight, the bond breaks. Sakura blinked. Sasuke was asking her for advice? Oh. Well. Sakura shifted into lecture mode. It's not static. It's dynamic. You have to pulse the chakra. Like a heartbeat. Clamp down when you plant the foot, release when you lift, but keep a residual charge to maintain the friction coefficient. If you just hold it steady, your own movement disrupts the flow. Sasuke absorbed this. Pulse it. Rhythm, not force. Yeah, Sakura nodded. Thanks. Sasuke walked back to the beam. Hey! Naruto yelled from the ground. I was listening too, you know. Whatever, Sasuke smirked. Try to keep up. They ran again. This time, Sasuke hit the rhythm. Step, pulse. He scrambled 20 feet up before his reserves dipped, and he slid down. Naruto watched. He closed his eyes. Pulse it. Like a heartbeat, he ran. He didn't explode off the metal this time. He stuck. 5 steps. 6 steps. He panicked, lost the rhythm, and fell. But he laughed. I got it. I felt it. For the rest of the afternoon, they were possessed. They weren't fighting each other anymore. They were fighting the tower. They raced up, falling, groaning, getting back up. I bet I can get higher than you next time. Naruto shouted, his shirt soaked in sweat. In your dreams, loser, Sasuke panted, his chest heaving. But when Sasuke slipped, Naruto was there to catch his arm before he hit the ground hard. And when Naruto got stuck, unable to figure out the footing on a rivet, Sasuke kicked a pebble at the spot he needed to step on. Silent communication. Acknowledgement. Kakashi watched from the shadows of a warehouse, reading his book. They're growing, he thought. Sasuke has the talent, but Naruto has the engine. And together, they might actually survive this. The dinner table. By the time they dragged themselves back to Tazuna's house, it was dark. Dinner was a feast, or as close to one as the poverty-stricken family could manage. Fish stew, rice, and pickled vegetables. Naruto and Sasuke were feral. Their hands shook from chakra exhaustion, so they practically shoveled food into their mouths with their faces near the bowls. More! They shouted in unison, thrusting their empty bowls at Tsunami. You two are going to throw up, Sakura warned, eating daintily. Need energy. Naruto mumbled. Muscle, repair. At the end of the table, a small boy sat silently. He wore a bucket hat, and stared at his food with a sullen, angry expression. This was Inari, Tazuna's grandson. He had watched the ninja eat. He had listened to them talk about training. "Why do you bother?" Inari said suddenly. The table went quiet. "You're just going to die," Inari said, his voice trembling. "Gato is going to kill you. Just like he kills everyone who tries to be a hero." "Inari," Tsunami scolded. "These people are guests. They are protecting your grandfather. They're stupid." Inari slammed his hands on the table. "There's no such thing as heroes. You can train all you want, but the strong always crush the weak. That's how the world works." Naruto stopped chewing. He wiped his mouth. "Listen, kid," Naruto said, his voice unusually low. "I'm not gonna die. And I'm not gonna let Gato crush anyone. I'm going to be Hokage. I'm going to change the system." "Shut up!" Inari yelled, tears welling in his eyes. "You don't know anything. You don't know what it's like to suffer. To be alone. You just come here from your big, fancy city with your magic powers and act like you can fix everything. But you don't know what it's like to lose everything." Naruto stared at the kid. "I don't know what it's like to suffer." Naruto stood up.